Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for this yoga practice to relieve stress and anxiety. We'll be using some props today. Find what you have handy. If you don't have a bolster, you could use a couch cushion or something similar that has some support. Also, a couple blocks would be nice, as well as a couple blankets. This practice is great to do at any time if you're feeling anxious or you just need to calm the mind and the body. So let's get started. Today's first pose is going to be using the bolster and the blocks and possibly the blankets. So we'll begin with the blocks, maybe on the medium setting, and take your bolster or couch cushion and place it over the blocks. If you don't have this type of prop, you could also use a chair to place your legs on, or a small stool, in which case, if the seat is up a little higher, you may need a support like a blanket underneath you. Have your blankets handy, and then we'll come into the pose, bringing our legs up onto the support, so your knees are pretty close to the edge there. And then lay down. And from here, you can either keep the legs neutral like this, or, and I like this variation, bring your heels to touch and the knees out wide like a Supta Baddha Konasana. You might have your palms up, and then you might decide to bring a blanket over the hips. Sometimes a little weight over the hips can feel really nice. Arms where they feel comfortable to you. And make sure that your head feels comfortable here as well as your neck. If you feel like your head is going back too much, you might need a blanket under your head. The neck should be comfortable. And begin to soften your breath. Begin to relax the lower legs. Relax your upper legs. Relax your hips and your lower back. Relax your mid back, your upper back and shoulders. Soften your belly. Soften the area of your upper chest. Relax your arms and hands and fingers. Soften and release with each exhale. And let go. So we'll be here for just a few more breaths. Begin to deepen your breath. Take a nice full inhale. Maybe a soft sigh of an exhale. Let it go. And then slowly, if your legs are in the Baddha Konasana position, you might slowly straighten them back over the bolster and pause for a moment. If you have a blanket over your hips, you might set it aside. And then bend one knee and then the other. Draw your knees towards your chest. And then thoughtfully roll over to one side and use your hands and arms and press your way back up to a seat. Pause here. Notice sensation. Notice how you feel. So our next pose, we're going to come onto our hands and knees, set the bolster aside. You'll want to have one block. And if you have sensitive knees, you might open up a blanket over your mat to have your knees have a little more cushion. And from table pose, extend your right leg back behind you for a moment. And just stretch through that heel a little bit, getting a little bit of a stretch there. And then bring the knee underneath you. And then extend the leg out to the right. If this is too much, you can bend the knee, bring the foot in closer, lift the right hip up a little bit if that feels better. But a little movement here forward and back. Sometimes this can feel really nice. If it doesn't work for you, just stay in the table position. And you can also just be here in the table position and do a little movement forward and back. And then we're going to get into some cat-cow. So either with the foot extended or both knees underneath you. Inhale, arching into a cow. Exhale, find your cat. Drawing the belly in. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Notice how this feels. And then come back to neutral. You might bring your right foot in a little bit closer to you. Move your left hand forward. And if you need to, you can place that block under your hand if you need a little more support. And then inhale your right arm up for a little twist to your right. You might slide that right foot a little closer to the mat, gently pressing that right foot into the floor, keeping it in line with that left knee. Breathe here. And there comes Zoey. Hello, Zoey. She thinks this is her invitation for some love. Hello, sweetie. And then from here, we're going to lower the hand down. This will be a little tricky until she moves. Okay, she's just going to make her place right there. Okay. She's like, give me some loves. Yeah. So now we're going to position the block. So it's going to be a support for our head. Supporting the head can be very beneficial for helping anxiety and just calming the nervous system, soothing our central nervous system. just like Zoey becomes calm when she's in front of the heater or getting some love and attention like she is right now. So using the block on whatever setting works for you, I'm going to use the medium setting and forehead to the block. Staying on your forearms, find the position of the block where it makes sense to you and make sure that this feels comfortable. If it's too much of a stretch in your inner thigh, you can bring that foot in, bend the knee, or lift the hip up. And again, if it's way too much, just bring that knee back underneath you. But this can be a really nice position as you get some stretch into your inner thigh, and you're pressing just gently into that right foot. Your forearms are supporting you, neck is long, head is supported. Notice your breath. We'll be here for maybe about another 5 breaths. Take one more breath here. And then lift your head, bring one hand onto the mat and then the other, and bring that right knee underneath you. Pause for a moment. And then we'll do the other side. Extend your left leg back, staying on the ball of the left foot, just pressing the heel back a little bit. You're starting to get a little stretch into that leg. And then bend the knee underneath you again. And extend that left leg out to the left of your mat, left foot flat on the floor in line with your right knee. And again, just notice how this feels. Make sure it feels okay on your knees, your inner thighs, your hip. And again, you might bend that knee, lift the hip up, whatever feels good to you. Little bit of movement forward and back. Pause at neutral. And again, a few cat-cows. Notice how this feels. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Breathe through your nose. Or whatever makes sense to you. And then pause at neutral. You might move your right hand slightly forward on your mat. You might bring that left foot in a little closer towards the mat. And inhale your left arm up for a little twist to your left. Breathe here. On your exhale, slowly lower that left hand down. Reposition that block. Come onto your forearms. Again, find the level of the block that makes sense to you. I prefer the medium setting, but some people like the low or might need the high setting. Press gently into your left foot. If it's too much of a stretch, bring the foot in closer, bend the knee, lift the hip, or just bring the knee back underneath you. Neck should be comfortable. You might close your eyes and just breathe here. Make sure the knee you're on is comfortable too. Extra cushion, like a blanket or towel under it, might feel nice. few more breaths here. And then on your next inhale, lift your head. Bring one hand under your shoulder and then the other. And thoughtfully bring that left knee back underneath you. Pause for a moment. And just bring yourself to a seat. You can sit on a block or a blanket. I'm going to put a block in between my ankles and then just sit on that. It feels nice and supportive, helping me to have a long spine. And just pause. Notice how you feel. So we're going to do one more pose in today's practice, and it is a prone pose, which can feel really nice. If you don't have a bolster, you can just use your cushion or several blankets so that you have a little more height. If you don't have a bolster or the blocks, you might just lay completely on your belly, flat on your mat, with your arms out like this, supporting your head with your hands in a makrasana. Having the props can feel really nice and even more supportive. So we're going to position one block in front of the bolster and then take one blanket. We'll use both blankets, but take one blanket and place it behind the bolster for the knees. And then the other blanket, this is an option. You can use it either on top of the bolster to create more height, or you might benefit from having it rolled up to be a support for your ankles. So I like to do that. From this shape, you can start to roll your blanket or your towel so you get a rolled support, something like that. So from here, you might place that blanket sort of at the end of your other blanket. So it's something like that to rest your ankles on. And then you'll position the bolster and the block where it makes sense to you. So come down onto your belly, forearms on the mat. Make sure this feels comfortable. And then position the block, maybe on the medium setting, so your face is in between the top of the bolster and the block. Your face isn't right on the bolster. So you want to have your chin above the end of the bolster here so that you can relax here. So your knees should feel comfortable. Your legs should feel comfortable. Your hips should be on the bolster. Your chest should be on the bolster. Forearms should be able to make it to the mat. If your arms are up too high, if your cushion or bolster is too high, you might want maybe a couple towels or other support under your forearms so that you can feel you're grounded with your forearms. Knees are on the blanket, whatever feels good there. And then make sure your head and neck are comfortable. From here, soften your shoulders. You might move your arms in or out, whatever feels good to you. Invite your whole body, just sort of melt over the props and let go. Take a few more breaths here. Gently begin to deepen your breath. And then on your next inhale, lift your head, bring your hands under your shoulders, and then press yourself back up. Pause. Notice how you feel. Come to any comfortable seat or position and just pause. Notice your breath. Notice your body and observe your state of mind. I hope this mini practice helped soothe your nervous system, calm any anxiety, and just help to relieve a little bit of stress. Thank you so much for joining me today for this little mini practice to de-stress. Be sure you like and subscribe, check out some of the other videos, and I'll see you next time on the mat. Thank you, everyone.